Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including RWBY, which we'll be getting into right now. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by Hayley Nabuurs.
Hello.
And Andy Potter.
Hello.
Today, Hayley, Andy, and I are going to be recapping Chapter 9 of Volume 5 of RWBY, A Perfect Storm, that aired today on Rooster Teeth First. We talk about RWBY every week here on the Overly Animated Podcast. You can find us at overlyanimated.com or search for Overly Animated RWBY on iTunes and subscribe there or on YouTube to not miss any of our future RWBY content. We're coming off a long and extensive recap this week. Last week about last week's episode, and I'm sure today's will be much shorter. So let's make sure spoilers for A Perfect Storm and all previous episodes of RWBY. Let's get into this. Hayley, what are your thoughts on A Perfect Storm?
A great big sigh would be a good way
That's
of recapping.
That's a good reaction, yeah.
Yeah, a big sigh, because it was just basically, I think it's been at least 2 weeks now that we've been expecting the next episode to be the big, menagerie, big fight sequence, to be awesome, and and the last couple episodes have actually not been terrible, so it's been fine, and it's like, okay, so we're gonna get there and have a big episode. But then we get this episode, and, nothing, I guess stuff happened and was established, but it was so slow, and just really, I don't know what was going on, but it was really weirdly edited together. There are some scenes Oscar
Yes.
going to say hey Crow, Osbin needs to chat with you. And then that was nothing. That was just a wasted minute. And I was not really expecting the Blake and Ilya thing to happen, confrontation to happen so quickly. And I really was looking forward to an awesome Bandit Camp fight, but they just talked again and were not very intimidating, really. And then, Vernal wasn't that intimidating. I don't know why Raven always has to wear this mask all the time, and then it's a big dramatic thing when she takes her mask off. But yeah, I don't know. I guess they have been lacking kind of what came out of this, where they're okay, so they need the relics and talking more about this attack on Haven and everything, but I feel this was not the time. We need a fight. We haven't had a good fight sequence in ages, and we're perfectly set up for an awesome one in Menagerie, and it's totally just being pushed aside. So, I don't know. This episode was pretty lackluster and just annoying in the sequence of episodes leading up to it, honestly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Haley speaking for the masses.
Yeah.
I've been reading CO for a few hours after the episode. You've just hit on every single point that people have been making. You just summarized everyone's reaction to this episode. Yeah.
Podcast over.
We're
There
done
we
here.
go.
There you
Done.
go.
Yeah.
Yes. Good. Great. Yeah. Great thoughts. I don't know if Andy, do you have anything to add to this?
I won't harp on the same things. I'll just say for the first time in maybe who knows how long, I was actually excited to watch RWBY. I got up today, I had to go to work, I was in the field, I got into a car accident, I came back and I'm yeah, I get to watch RWBY today still.
You're fine. You're fine, right?
What a day.
You're
yeah,
fine.
by the way, I'm fine. No, just to defend her better. Literally no hurt. I just had to do paperwork. It sucked. But I sit down and I want to watch RWBY, and I was given this. I was given this. It was
With a big sigh.
I don't know how to express that this season has done some of the best episodes of RWBY ever, and also somehow some episodes that are worse than season 4.
Yeah.
And it's insane. It's insane how much worse. Because last episode, like you said, Dylan, was actually fun to watch. Even if we had a lot of problems with it, it was fun to watch. I was still excited to watch RWBY when I was watching it. This was just every problem we've ever had with RWBY. Team RWBY was not the main characters. We had no fighting. We had weird scenes that had no purpose. We had characters that just were saying things that didn't really have anything that meant anything. And on top of that, we had Rooster Teeth making fun of their characters. And it's stop making fun of your characters when you gave them the stupid names to begin with. It's not funny or cool or interesting. Just move past it. We get it. You named Cinder Cinderfall We get it. Just move
Yeah,
past it.
we've been
And,
making
like,
fun of that for a while. You don't need to make fun of it in the show now. Yeah.
yeah, we don't need to keep doing it. And like the entire episode is just a list of things like that. Rooster Teeth, you made this decision. You don't need to keep making fun of yourself for the decision.
Okay. Yeah.
You made it already. And that's, yeah. And so that's just kind of it. Like Hayley said, it's just a huge, huge sigh is this episode. On the bright side, nothing made me mad. Nothing was like super problematic.
Oh, things made me mad. Yeah, not like there were like socially problematic things, but yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Okay, good. 2 very negative reactions. Yeah, there's an argument for this being the worst episode of RWBY of all time. There's like, it's so bad. It's not, it's not overtly bad in most parts. There's a few parts that are like overtly. Hayley talked about one of them already. And there's another one that we haven't talked about yet that's just terrible. There's 2 scenes that are just terrible. But coming off of last week, which was super, last week's like the problematic favorite. Like we talked for like an hour about why it was socially problematic, but it was still really fun. And in that, like one of the most engaging episodes of RWBY ever. And then we come off into just one of the most boring ones ever. It's a huge letdown. It's a terrible episode. I don't know. I don't have a lot of talking points on this one.
Just ranting points, really.
Yeah, there's a few. I want to point out a few really bad things that we did here, but it's so frustrating that we keep putting off the menagerie stuff. This isn't the way to do it. I guess I'll start with like a neutral point, which is that I think this episode, more than any other RWBY episode, shows that they do not write the show with weekly airings in mind. This episode might be a lot better within the context of a Netflix watch of the entire season, like as a movie, which is something I've talked about before. But the thing is, you call them chapters and you release them weekly, and yet in this episode we have an Ozpin and Crow scene, which has no relevance to anything and is just setting up for the next episode. So
also,
yeah,
they clearly write them as episodes. Like they clearly sit down and have times where they write chapter by chapter. Like they can not write this as an episode.
Like probably they do that. I mean,
they've mentioned it on Twitter. Like Miles has mentioned it on podcasts that they sit down and write episode by episode.
Yeah,
that
but
they do that.
It seems to be a different approach than most shows that are weekly because I don't know why you would ever insert a scene that has no purpose like that Ozpin and Crow scene. I think that might be the worst scene of all time in RWBY, just because it has no relevance to anything.
It was so weird. It like threw me right off.
It's a pure setup for next week, and it's not an interesting setup, and it's not like the cliffhanger. Then there's a cliffhanger, which is also just a pure setup for next week. So this episode makes a lot more sense within the context of the season, I assume, but it's just to stop airing them weekly if this is how you're writing the show. Like, if you're writing the show for a movie, just air it as a movie. But it's presumably they're not doing that. Yeah, we could. Why are we doing weekly recaps if this is what's happening?
Volume 5, the movie.
We could just watch all of RWBY in like January. Just release it all in January. I'd be fine with that. It might make me less mad about things.
It would make us less mad. It wouldn't be as exciting, but it
wouldn't.
Yeah. Okay.
Like,
so
go ahead.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess the other discoursey point I want to talk about is the cliffhanger. I actually heard from one comment, I can't believe you didn't complain about this, which is never the comments. It's usually like, why are you complaining about this? But yeah, someone's like, please come. Yeah, I've heard this a few other places as well. Like, why did the last 2 episodes end in cliffhangers? And my response was, I actually didn't mind the last 2 cliffhangers because the first one was the Bandit Camp, and I didn't think that we'd revisit it. I thought that we'd just say, okay, Cinder's there, and off screen we're gonna have the fight and have them like take Raven
and it was an awesome
prisoner
scene
or something.
too.
Yeah, and that was a
like,
cool
that was
scene.
like, oh yeah, the characters
and
are back.
if you don't follow up on that, that's fine, and that speaks for itself. So I didn't mind that. And then last week's what was last week's cliffhanger? We had
being kidnapped, right? Or getting away from kidnapping. We had Gira
going werewolf mode. Yeah,
Gira taking off his shirt,
right? And I said, him taking off his shirt, and people are like, yeah, he's a panther. Yeah, okay, he's a panther. He's a werewolf, whatever. And and I'm like, okay, I don't mind that either because it's just part 1 of a 2-part episode. Well, this episode completely negates both of my points on the previous 2 things. 1, we followed up on the Bandit Camp scene, so it was an actual cliffhanger. 2, this wasn't the second part of that episode. We're just dragging it out over the course of multiple episodes. So it really makes the last two cliffhangers much worse. And then this episode has a really terrible cliffhanger. So we've just followed the same episode structure 3 times in a row with these cliffhangers, and it's not clear why they would do this. Why are cliffhangers have points, but they need to be about things like we actually care about and that we're actually going to follow up on immediately next week.
And those cliffhangers made sense in the context of this episode being like a full-blown menagerie fight. But because it isn't, it makes no sense. Like all the tension and anticipation is totally blown away because it just doesn't, like, nothing comes of it. Like, I honestly, normally as just like watching TV, you would expect next week's episode to pick up with the menagerie fight again, but I don't know. Maybe it's gonna just like we'll see a minute of the fight every episode till the finale. Like at this point.
No, that's what we've been getting. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. Like let's just keep doing that. But it totally takes all the wind out of the fight and makes it not exciting at all. Because I think it would actually be kind of an exciting fight if we had any amount of time with it. But we keep cutting in and out for no reason, and it just loses all the adrenaline of the fight. Like it doesn't make any sense to me. It's such a bad call.
Yeah, let's table Menagerie for now because the episode tabled it. So and I'll leave a cliffhanger of my own on what the second terrible scene of the episode is. I think it should be obvious, but we'll address it later. Let's talk about the Bandit Camp because as Hayley mentioned, the thing I've been seeing from everyone is, oh my god, they just stood there talking for 5 minutes and they didn't fight. Like this is
we didn't even get because Cinder mentions. Raven comes out and is like, "Oh, why did you let them in?" And it's like, "Oh, they recognize a maiden when they see one." It's like, no, I wanted to see that. Like, I wanted to, like, Emerald was coming up in the cliffhanger with their awesome gun sword things, and we get none of that. And it's like that would have been so good to remind us and reintroduce us to these characters because the show's all about, at its heart, like fighting, and we don't see any of that, which is really disappointing. And then just this really long talk sequence that dragged on forever and ever with no exciting points. At least I think so.
Yeah. So I actually didn't even care that much about this potential Bandit Camp fight. I would like to see like Emerald in action. In general, I do much prefer when we're fighting instead of talking on the show. So I agree.
Just a little snippet of it at the end, right?
Yeah. It's like I didn't care specifically about this fight. My big thing though is that nothing they talked about was interesting. That's the problem, is that I didn't really care at all about anything they said.
But no, Dylan, we got one thing. We got confirmation that Watts makes robot stuff.
Yeah, we had this incredible line from Cinder. We had this incredible line from Cinder at the end. Fly back home and tinker with your machines.
I'm so ready. I'm so ready for Tyrion's tail.
Go tinker with your machines. Yeah. So that was from.
I like her.
To be fair,
fire eye thing.
Yeah, she had her fire eye. To be fair, that line makes sense for Cinder because she's just a corny character. But I don't know why she has a fire eye. Like that's the display of maiden power.
I feel like that's gonna hurt. Like that doesn't seem good.
That's the same fire eye she had, I think, from the season 3 intro, the opening.
Yeah.
But that was from before she was a maiden, so I don't know what's going on with that.
Flew us that she was going to become a maiden by the end of the season, but yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, so this talk is between Cinder, Emerald, Mercury, and Dr. Watts, and Raven and Vernal. Raven's continues to insist on calling Vernal Vernal. So I don't know if that's the proper pronunciation. Is that the proper pronunciation, or is that just how Raven's voice actress says it?
I think it's Vernal.
Vernal.
Like it should be Vernal, right?
Because it's the vernal equinox.
She specifically says Vernal multiple times. So
she says it like 5 times. Yeah. I was clenching my fist every time she said it.
Yeah, so I have like this scene is setting up the finale, so it's kind of important that we hear it, I guess. I just really don't care what these
There would have been
saying.
Better ways to do this, because I don't know about you guys, but I got kind of confused during this because I feel like, come on, Cinder and crew, you've got 2 days. Like, you're kind of cutting it close if you don't want to be there when the fight's happening. And then they decide, I guess we could time it with the fight. And it's like, yeah, you could have gone and got the relic a week ago.
Right. So number one thing that we learn is that we are 2 days away from the Haven attack, which we had no idea about.
But time jump, man, that was fast.
Yeah, so we'd speculated here on whether we were going to push off the Haven attack. Probably not, since it's in 2 days. It'll happen in the finale. That also means, though, that our last 5 episodes all take place within 2 days of each other.
But maybe not, because the menagerie stuff is like a month ago.
Oh, yeah, except the menagerie stuff is a month ago.
Yeah.
By the way, the fact that we've had to point that out on 6-7 podcasts in a row now, remember that the menagerie stuff is take place a month before this, means that it's been really badly done, because you need to have paid it off earlier. We forgot about it by now. Like, the only reason we haven't is because we brought it up every time. But yeah, again, at the end of this podcast, I'm going to say I think Blake will appear in Haven next week, but I said that the past 4 weeks in a row. So we've said
a lot of things last 4 weeks in a row, and none of them have happened.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. How about a positive? Here's probably the best moment of the episode. Is in the Bandit Camp scene. Raven says, 2 children. She's talking about who's appeared before her. 2 children you've tricked into following you: a disgraced Atlesian scientist and a fall maiden with a surname so appropriate she probably picked it herself. Something tells me you've got more than a slight case of egomania. Is that about right? So Auntie already hit on why it's bad to make fun of Cinder's name, because it's a stupid name to begin with. That being said, I think this was a good line overall. Yeah. It stood out compared to everything else that they're talking about, I would say.
And then it was just downhill from there.
Yeah, and we learned that, I don't know if we knew Dr. Watts was Atlesian.
To be honest with you, I just don't care.
Well, yeah, we don't care. I don't care about Dr. Watson at all, so that's the problem. He's just not an important character. Yeah, we learn he's an engineer or something. So there you go. But yeah, and Emerald and Mercury speak once each, even though they're the people we actually care about in the scene. Yep.
And Emerald mentions RWBY.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Emerald misses RWBY. That's
Cinder really hates RWBY.
And Cinder really is. Cinder is just in love with RWBY. Hashtag fallen petals, I think. And
yeah, honestly, it's like verging on not even just like
she's just
you're my greatest enemy. Yeah. It's like I'm obsessed with you.
Yeah,
this is clearly Cinderella, right? Right, Dylan? That's the one?
Yeah, she's Cinder, all she cares about is RWBY. But yeah, so we learn it's the Haven attacks in 2 days. So we finally get, I think this is the first time we've heard for sure that Vernal is the Spring Maiden.
Yeah.
Yes.
We've all known this whole time, but they decided to wait 9 episodes before actually confirming this.
So they tell it here, and then her big display of her powers is that she makes some clouds appear.
Right, like she brought a bolt of lightning down when Weiss and Yang were there. Like, she couldn't have done that.
Like, this is what you named the episode after, her like making a storm kind of appear. It was really underwhelming. Yeah.
I found it so funny too how like Cinder was standing strong, like nothing could stop her, and the other ones were all freaking out about the wind. It's like, it's some leaves, guys. Like, there's a couple storm clouds. It's all good. But that, like, she could have done something way more impressive and not just a little gust of wind and like, oh, it might thunder later. We'll see. Like, that was so strange to me.
Yeah.
It's very weird.
Don't understand that moment, but
no.
Here's a potentially interesting thing is that Cinder or Dr. Watts or something says Salem only wants the relics, not the maidens.
I don't believe that.
I don't believe that either.
Yeah, I also don't believe that. So the question is, why did they say that? Who says that, first of all? I don't even remember anymore.
Dr. Watts,
I think.
Okay, so does Watts actually believe that that's true?
Maybe. I don't know.
It's a problem.
Do we know what the relics are going to do?
No, we know nothing about them.
No, we don't.
Just that they're named after like knowledge, life.
Yeah, right.
So they're going after the knowledge one.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely am still on the train of Salem wants the maiden powers herself or something.
Yeah,
or she wants Cinder to have them. Either one.
Or have someone that she knows she can control be the maiden, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know how that played. I think this would have been better if we knew more about what the relics were and what they were capable of doing. Because right now it's just like, oh, I assume it's bad for Salem to have them, but like I don't know what's going to happen if she does, and that's not very menacing necessarily.
That's season 10. We'll find out.
Season 10 what the relics do. If this is true, that Salem wants the relics and not the maidens, then this really sucks because Volume 3 was irrelevant, and why did we even do anything with the maidens if Salem does not actually want the maidens? But we're going to assume that this is a lie. Okay.
But I think she does want the maidens just because they can get the relics, right? Like that.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. I think she just wants the power. Like, she has to care about the powers themselves, right, too?
I would
It could
think so.
it could just be they set it up like Cinder wants the Maidens and Salem wants the Relics, but I don't see the point of that. Like you said, it seems kind of pointless.
Yeah, the
like,
problem is
Maidens seem
Cinder doesn't
powerful.
have agency as far as we know right
Yeah.
now. So I
But-
don't think she's the only thing she does on her own is she makes a deal to kill RWBY because that's all she cares about.
But I mean, this could be a way for her to gain agency. Like she could stray and just be like, "I want the Maidens. You can have the Relics. I want the Maidens."
That would
But
be
I don't-
good. I'd like that. Yeah.
But
I just
we'll
went
have
on
to
to
wait.
Wikipedia, and apparently
You
It
looked
is
up the
that
relics.
each relic contains great power, and if anyone were to wield all four, they would change the world.
Yeah,
Okay,
Bum, bum,
we already
bum.
knew all that.
Yeah,
probably.
they're the whatever. They're the
That's
Dragon
just
Balls.
as vague
they're
as
the,
what I thought initially.
They're whatever. Okay, so so they're going to unlock the Relic of Knowledge. They make a deal to do that, but then they have an addendum. This part that really lost me, the whole negotiating about killing Crow.
Yeah, right?
I just didn't care about like, clearly Crow's not going to die here, so why are we even talking about this?
Okay, so Raven does not need their help. She's got a portal that can take her to him at any moment.
She could just backstab. She could stab him in his
Yeah.
sleep.
He could
Yeah.
be like, he could
That's
be
a good point. I didn't
in
even
the
think
middle
of
of the night. She shows up, boom, done. You don't need them, Raven. Like, go on your own way. Come on, you've got a maiden with you.
Yeah, she literally can just portal to Crow and kill him at any time.
Like,
on
there's
her
nothing
own.
stopping her. It's maybe. No, I don't know. Maybe there's like some sort of lock that Crow put on her portal, but we've
she
never been
said she
told
can go
anything
there.
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
She portaled to him earlier. Okay, I guess the
Yeah,
counter
she did,
argument
didn't
is
she?
that
Yes.
I guess
Yeah.
it's possible that she doesn't actually want to kill Crow, and she only says this to create a diversion, so with which she can take the relic for herself. But I think she does actually want to kill Crow. Like, I
Or
think that they're both true.
maybe it's a combination. Like, she knows that by making them do this, it's a diversion. And if Crow happens to die, cool. But if he doesn't, that's fine. She's got the diversion either way.
I don't know. I would assume the relic part would come before the attack on Haven, but I guess they're all happening at once.
Who knows?
Crow. We're killing Crow and RWBY and gang during the Haven attack. So there's our finale.
Yes.
Yep, yeah. And Cinder's and Dr. Watts is like, you only want to do this to kill the child, and Cinder's
Good
like,
job,
yeah.
Watts.
Cinder's
figured
like,
it out.
She's like, yep, I love RWBY. #Clone Pebble.
Yep.
So
We need
there you
Ruby. She
go.
heard her name, just like the fire eyes were going. She was
Yeah.
ready to kill.
Like Watts, like Cinder was mad about this a whole season. Like clearly, this is what she wants. This is the only thing she's ever said she wanted for the last season. Watts, it's not that complex.
Yeah, what do we do? Briefly, are we doing a Cinder redemption? Or is Cinder going to turn good in season 10? Like, is this what we're working towards?
Maybe 10. You never know what's going to happen, but I don't think it's happening anytime soon. Personally.
No, I think she's gonna have like some kind of quest for power, and it's never gonna turn into something good.
If she's so obsessed with RWBY, then maybe RWBY could get to her. Like, RWBY obviously has meaning to her, so I don't know. Anyway, I have no other takeaways from this talk.
Oh, I do have one thing to say though, Dylan. You skipped the very beginning when she was sharpening her sword. Like it was like, why is this necessary? Like her.
Okay, so in the beginning, she's like preparing for battle, and she says, "We've planned for this." Salem showing up, and apparently their plan is just talking to them.
Yeah, I was like, why are we doing this? Why couldn't we just fight? Like we set up for a fight, and then we didn't get a fight. It was so pointless.
Yeah, doesn't she have like booby traps set up or anything?
Literally, what did you mean we've planned for this? Seriously, like your plan was clearing out the camp and just standing there, like, and talking to them.
So is she implying that she knew about the relics already? Because I don't think she did. Like she's just saying things.
I think that was meant as we knew they were going to find us eventually. I think that's what was.
I got that,
about.
but you could.
That's not what she said.
She could have said, "We've known this was coming." Like, but
yeah,
she implied she knew what they wanted.
I think she might know about relics. I can't remember what old Team RWBY knows.
She was with Osmond for a while, so
exactly.
Yeah.
He turned them into crows and ravens. So, you know,
you're gonna make me like die if you keep mentioning those birds.
I love it.
She does turn into a
raven
at some point. Yeah,
just to bookend that scene.
Yeah. Later, we learn that Raven plans to double cross them and take the relic for herself. So that's her motivation.
Cool. Her Bandit Camp, like, they're not intimidating at all. Like they just like stood
Yeah.
at the sidelines and didn't do anything.
Yeah, they've really failed to show why the Bronwyn tribe is feared to any extent. No one outside of Raven and Vernal seems competent at all.
No, not at all.
It makes no sense that they would stop fighting when they found out Cinder was a maiden. It makes no sense to me. Like, why did they just stop and just let them stand?
They have a maiden. Like
yeah.
They could have called her over.
Like, if they just started fighting, wouldn't the other maiden come in and help them?
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, just very boring. Nothing overtly terrible, but just,
no. I think this scene, like I said, I think this is kind of like they had to explain all of this somehow and at some point, because I guess we've mostly this season just had a lot of character-based stuff for the most part in the last couple episodes, which has been awesome. And they had to get these details in at some point, but I think there was definitely a better way to do this.
Yeah, this was the finale setup, and it's just another instance of RWBY being bad at expositioning.
This would have been better maybe after the Menagerie episode that's now been broken up into 5 episodes.
Yeah.
Oh
right?
my god.
Like as we're like coming down off of that, and Blake's with them, and it's all great, and then we could get this maybe a little bit more of a fight. I think that would have been better, but this was just like boring. It was so boring, especially when we were anticipating something good this episode.
At least this wasn't the episode before that, like their 1 week break. Like at least there's that.
That's true. It would be really mad if this is next week's. Will Raven succeed in double crossing and getting Relic for herself?
Again, I don't care.
I don't care, but no, right? Like, there's no way she's getting off with her.
Raven be on our death watch.
Well, yeah, this adds Vernal and Raven to the death watch.
Right. So everyone's been saying Vernal's been dying for a while. So first of all the maidens are always on the death watch because their purpose is to die. But it's
good job, Osmond. Good safeguard that you put in there.
Yeah, that's true. This was Osmond's plan. So this is kind of all his fault.
You put all their power based in them dying. Like that's
why would you do this?
It's kind of a terrible mechanic. Yeah, Osmond's a bad game designer. He's people always think Vernal's dying, but the thing I've said back is she has to actually be a person first in order for us to care at all. But I think this was their attempt to do that this episode.
Maybe. I think maybe Raven will die and Vernal will get kidnapped by them. Maybe. I
think a lot of I could see Raven dying, but I think most people's response is that she's too important to the story. I think it's hard to tell where they're going. They are kind of exhausting everything that we've set up with this character already. We've had her talk to Yang. We've done the bird thing. You know, we've dealt with her and Osmond and her and Crow. So we've kind of exhausted Raven plot lines. It is possible we could kill her, but I assume not. Vernal will die. It's just like,
if not this season, next
season.
Right.
It's just really going to be really dumb because she's not a character. Like, you've done nothing with her.
Yeah. We were so excited too, because when we first saw the opening intro for this season, she looked awesome and seemed like a very important character. But like, it wasn't until this episode that we actually got verbal confirmation that she is a Spring Maiden. Like, we all knew since the first episode, but
yeah, she's just done nothing on her own.
Nothing.
All she's done is say, "Sure, Raven, I'll do that." Yeah,
she's just a very submissive personality. She just does what, like, she just.
Why is she following Raven? I would like to know that.
I think she's like a mother figure, maybe. I don't know. What do you think is the age difference there?
I don't know.
It seems like this was the episode to get into that. Like, this is the episode to talk about Vernal's history, but we didn't do that.
They have a scene, with the when there's no, I don't.
I like them having a scene too. That was neat because, like you saw, they seem to have some sort of a relationship,
but we didn't see it.
We haven't seen anything about it.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay.
It's really unfortunate. Missed opportunity there.
Vernal's high on the death watch. Raven also somewhat are on there. So let's talk about Menagerie. So we kind of continue from last episode. We have Gira, Blake, and Sun versus Corsic and Finnick. And we learned
that's a strong way to put it, Dylan. Versus, like, they just kind of were standing across the room for each other.
There is a sequence when they're fighting, and Corsic and Finnick have like fire and winds powers from their swords. I think that's the highlight.
It's not magic.
It's not magic. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
It may be wands, but it's not magic.
Magic sword wands. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the highlight of the episode for me is the like 5 seconds of like actual fight, and like they combine elements at some point, and it looks kind of cool. It's like the part where they're actually fighting for like the brief moment. That was the highlight of the episode. I would say that's what we wanted more of.
Yeah.
We learned that Kali is missing. So,
well, no, she's just in the other room.
We don't see her
Right?
though, right? I don't think.
No.
No, but
Ilya
didn't
cuts her
they
off.
say like, "Oh, where's mom?" He's like, "Oh, I lost her immediately," because he was in the other room and she's stuck in the dining room area.
Also, their house is enormous, and I didn't
Yeah,
realize-
right. I know.
Like I thought it was a lot smaller.
What's with the grand staircase ballroom area?
But
They
I
have
never
it?
realized-
Are we
Like,
more?
I-
Yeah, are we more worried about Kali dying than Gira now because she's not here?
No, Gira's definitely gonna die.
Gira's gonna die.
Yeah,
For sure.
Gira's the top of the death
He-
list. He's been dead for several episodes, just hasn't done
Yeah.
yet.
And now
Yeah.
Blake's not with him, so she's gonna come back. He'll be dying. He'll die in her
Yes,
arms. It'll be
yeah.
very dramatic.
Kali disappearing actually makes me feel like she's less gonna die because her disappearing means that we're gonna add some tension of her being saved. She's gonna be saved.
Yeah,
she's gonna
but,
come back.
what if Ilya killed her already?
Well, I mean, that's the thing they could do, Dylan. But I mean, I don't think they will.
Nah.
You have too much faith. I think they could.
I feel like Ilya won't be responsible for killing one of her parents.
No,
they
I
would just ramp up the dramatic tension.
She's very dramatic.
very.
Yeah. I saw someone post this, and I think this is definitely what's going to happen now that because Blake leaves the scene. Now it's just Sun and Gira fighting them. So Gira dies, and then like protecting. He like takes a hit for Sun, and then dies.
Yeah.
And then while he's dying to Sun, he's like, "I've actually started to like you. Protect my daughter for me."
Oh my
Yes,
god,
that is 100% happening.
that's something that Miles and Carrie
Yeah.
would write. Yeah,
And then
Right?
he's
That's-
like,
it
"I
sounds
won't let you down, sir." Like,
Yes,
they had
exactly.
a little banter there. Yeah, no,
like
definitely.
it's definitely happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
it's 100% happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which means we're stuck with Sun for longer.
Yeah, I think Sun is
Not mad at
probably is maybe
good.
safe. He's in danger right now, so let's not count that out.
Okay, Sun is always on death watch, but like a couple rungs down.
Sun has been in Death Watch for multiple seasons now.
Yeah.
Haley mentioned. He says, "I won't let you down, sir. Shut up." He
Yeah.
says to him. Yeah, I thought that was good. I always like telling Sun to shut up. That was fun.
Yeah.
But I teased it. Here's the worst scene of the episode.
Oh man.
So Blake comes into the scene, and then she like freezes the
this
Corsic and
is-
Finnick
yeah.
by their weapons. And their hands seem to be frozen along with their weapons to a block in the middle of them. And then Blake, Sun, and Gira proceed to stand there for literal 30 seconds. I counted it. Just talking.
Just chatting.
Yeah.
Like,
And-
run,
And
go.
Or
And it-
kill
and it-
them. Or
kill them.
yeah. It is clearly shown that they didn't break out of the ice through their strength. It just fell apart. Like they
Yeah.
literally had no way to get out of
They
that
had
ice.
to wait for that to break.
Yes.
They had
their
so much
weapons
time.
were frozen and they were stuck. And it's inexcusable because we know that named characters are in mortal danger here. Like if Gira dies, the fact that there was a 30-second period where he could have just
Like, he
easily
deserved
escaped
it.
this and he just did
Deserved
not do it. This is just inexplicable.
It's even worse because Blake says, "I'm gonna kill them now," essentially, and Kira's like, "No, don't." It's
Find
like,
your mom. No.
Kira, she literally beat them already. Let her finish it. Like, clearly, Blake was better than her dad. She beat them. Like, no matter what anyone says, she beat them, and Gira stopped her from
She
doing
dropped
it.
in 2 seconds, done, and he
Yeah.
didn't do his path. And I love when Blake does her semblance like that, where she like does stuff like that. And the score behind it was great too, because it was
Yes.
like from the Black trailer and everything. It was like, oh, okay, here we go, and then like we're just gonna chat about
It's-
like, oh, go find your mom. Let's
It's also
go,
really
guys.
cool. She's using Weiss's dust again. Like, this is her using Weiss's dust
right.
to make those ice shadow things.
Yeah.
Hashtag. What's it called again? This is the least supported
Checkmate
chip.
or chess
Oh, I
or
don't-
something.
checkmate,
No.
checkmate or something?
No. Monochrome.
Monochrome.
Yeah. It's been the least supported chip. This, also like Ladybug, obviously. But what am I missing here? Like, why did they write this? That's always what I'm wondering. I guess like we need to have them talking to further the scene.
I think would have been better is if they had this conversation while running away, and then then they
sure.
showed up again.
Or like dodging attacks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because that's a thing that happens in shows. That's like realistically, you're probably not going to have a deep-winded talk while you're fighting someone, but in a show you can get away with it. But not just standing there for half a minute.
Yeah, whenever
doing
something
nothing.
like it's just something this inexplicable happens, I'm like, what happened? That like, was it a failure in writing, or did they write it and then they didn't like it? They animated it them frozen, and that wasn't what was meant to happen. Like, what
storyboarding
went
was
wrong
off.
here?
I've been thinking for the last few episodes that there is some monetary problems with making all these fight scenes, And like, unless we have like 3 enormous fight scenes in the next like 4 episodes or something, like I think they just can't animate as many fight scenes.
People
as
have
they
been
used to.
speculating that they don't have money to do all the scenes. That's they did increase the number of episodes though, so I don't know.
I'm not saying that's a problem on them. I'm just saying it could be a physical problem they have.
But it doesn't. Regardless of this, you could just not have this. It's just such a break in logic. The fact that they're just standing there while the people are about to kill Gira are like.
And they didn't even talk about anything important either.
No,
it was literally just Gira telling Blake to stop. That's all it was.
Yeah, like no, don't kill the guys. I gotta kill them in a blaze of glory and then die. Like, come on.
Yeah.
This is my storyline, Blake. Don't you know? Don't you know what my fate is? So
yeah,
weird.
like this is if nothing bad happens, then this doesn't matter as much. It's just kind of annoying,
frustrating.
But if there's like serious ramifications, and then they have this, then it makes your audience just not want to experience big things happening, right? Like if like there's no realistic depictions, you're just standing there, the literal 30 seconds they stood there while they're frozen.
And it also, because the episodes are not that long, 30 seconds could have been filled with some sort of an awesome fight that we were actually waiting for and anticipating this episode, but instead we just get what could essentially be like Blake could have come down, frozen them, and then Garrett could be like, no, I'll take care of them, you find your mom, done, okay, goodbye. Like that could have taken 3 seconds flat and then it would have been whatever, but instead we just stood around and wasted time.
I don't get it. Maybe someone tell me in the comments if you get this scene. I don't get it.
Please explain.
Please tell me what happened.
I honestly want to know because it just is so glaringly strange.
Yeah. Okay. The other menagerie thing that happens is we end the episode with Blake and Ilya staring each other down and reaching for their weapons.
This is a fine cliffhanger. Like, this cliffhanger's okay, but it's
if we get menagerie next episode,
which we're not. To be clear, like I'm done speculating that we're finishing Menagerie.
No, we're definitely getting Menagerie. What else are we?
No, we're not. Dylan, we're not. We're just.
That's
not.
what we've said the last 2 episodes, though. We're like, oh, everything else is wrapped up.
We did get it this episode. They just extended it again. Like they're gonna do something like this again.
Yeah, probably.
What's funny is this is like the first time like I've seen 2 characters standing together. I'm like, don't fight, just talk. Like this is the first time.
Yeah, I actually want them though. Yeah, we actually want them to talk and not fight in this case. So
they're actually just gonna fight.
Yeah.
If they fought and talked at the same time, like please, let's do that. Let's do that.
Yeah, that
please.
would be okay.
Yeah, that'd be so. I think there's the most potential with this scene, because this is something that we thought the Blake Ilya scene last episode, potentially one of the most interesting, maybe the most interesting scene this show has ever done, filled with like problems and just
really dynamic
engagement. Yeah, just really well done. And compare that scene last episode to the Frozen and Ice scene this episode, it's like, how is this the same show? It's remarkable. Yeah. So what do we want to happen with Blake and Ilya? I think probably number one is we want Ilya to turn good somehow. Like this is what we need. But we don't want them to just fight and to like Ilya to wound Blake and run off. Like that would be bad.
I feel like that might happen.
Yeah.
And she'll feel guilty and run away, and then
we need them to like talk about Ilya's feelings. Like we need it to be addressed.
Yeah.
I want the most anime thing ever where they fight and talk about their problems while fighting. Like
that'd be great if they fought and talked about Ilya's feelings. It's Blake's like, I'm sorry, I never knew. It's like,
yeah.
Well, you could have, and then by the end, they stop and Ilya's crying, and then Blake
got like tearful fight happening.
Yes, that would be incredible.
And Blake's yelling that while she's like on her back with like a sword, stopping Ilya's sword or something, like something stupid like that anime.
And then Ilya says, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry forever." And the problem is if Ilya if Ilya redeems herself because of her feelings for Blake, then it equates her jealousy with the reason that she's cooperating with the White Fang, which is something that the episode last week did kind of, just because of the fact that they're next to each other, but overall her motivations aren't based on that, so we don't kind of want to go there.
She seems to be very like separate from the jealousy. I think definitely last episode I got the impression that she does believe in what she's doing.
Yes.
But because Blake is on the other side, it's messing with her like moral compass there.
I agree. Yeah, so
especially when they're trying to kill her parents,
we need the talk fight to address both her feelings for Blake and her moral stance with the White Fang.
But I don't think they can bring up her feelings for Blake without it being really bad. I don't think we can bring them up.
Right. Well, they're not going to do it well, but
Yeah.
It's a
This
tricky
is our
situation
fantasy. This is
anyway.
our fantasy episode of next week.
Yeah. Well, Dylan, every week we talk about our fantasy episode.
And then it doesn't happen. Yeah.
And then
So
we get like a little snippet of it. And then
It's like
So
a
also-
monkey paw.
Because of this cliffhanger, as much as I said this show's been terrible with cliffhangers now 3 in a row, because of the promise of a Blake and Ilya follow-up, I am still really anticipating next week, despite this terrible episode. Just because I'm very invested in this story.
You know we're not going to start with them next week, Dylan. There's no way.
I assume not.
we're going to start with Osmond and Crow chatting.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of which, let's talk about Osmond and Crow.
Okay, what was the scene?
So
weird.
Oscar says Osmond needs to talk to you, and they say sure, and then they leave the room.
Why did they leave the room? He can talk there. It's not like they need to be in a different spot.
There
I saw that too. Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't say like, "Oh, I need to talk to you with the rest of the group." Like he just like why'd he get up? So
you're not bringing him to anyone. He's you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So what are we talking about here?
I honestly have zero clue.
My response is I don't care.
Yeah,
Like-
especially because we had like the just the whole formatting of these last 4 scenes was so strange because we had the menagerie stuff, then we have Raven being like, okay, I'm going to double cross them, and then we have this stupid little Ozpin scene, and then we have Blake and Ilya. Like it didn't how they edited this episode just made zero sense to me. Like it was so disjointed, and I think it would have been a little bit better if they just got rid of Ozpin. Like if we just did Menagerie and Raven stuff this episode.
Clearly, don't put the scene in this episode. Yeah, that's
right.
Advice
like,
number
didn't
1.
Do anything. It wasn't even like, ooh, how exciting! Something's gonna come. Like it was just like
it's kind of remarkable that they introduce this and just don't follow it up at all. It's not even a cliffhanger because we don't promise what we're talking about. It's not like what are they talking about? It's just
are they talking about like Ozpin knows that Lionheart's bad? Like maybe that's the connection between that scene and all the Bandit Camp stuff, but I don't know because they didn't tell us anything. They just decided to leave the room because I guess Ozpin needs to have a fancy chair to sit on.
Ozpin can't reach something. He needs Crow to pick him up.
Yeah, maybe. It was so weird. It was so weird.
so weird. Okay. Yeah, I have nothing to say about this.
So. It was just like, it was laughable how silly it was.
This is something I can't believe I have to say. Like, I'm honestly worried that we're going to get a scene next episode of them talking, and we're not going to learn anything new. Like, we're going to get like a 5-minute scene of them talking to each other, and nothing new is going to get mentioned somehow.
Yeah, all the Ozpin talks have been really bad this season. So,
but it's like, but if it's just them talking, like they don't have to like sugarcoat things the same way, but somehow they won't touch on new things. I don't know how that's possible, but they'll do it.
Yeah,
and they'll take 10 minutes to say nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and I think another big problem with this episode is no RWBY Weiss Yang, because some of the best scenes of the season have definitely been with the 3 of those characters. So it's not surprising that an episode without the 3 of them, and with Blake only having like one sentence is bad. You know,
that's the thing is the last
even if these all weren't terrible scenes, it would still probably be unengaging.
Yeah,
because we care most about Team RWBY, and Team RWBY is not the focus of this episode.
Mm-hmm. And that's why we haven't been so upset that the last 2 episodes haven't been about the menagerie attack, because they've been about Team RWBY, and it's been like, oh, okay, like, sucks that we haven't gotten the menagerie stuff yet, but we've gotten actual time with our main characters that we care about, and that's great. But then there's this episode, and they're not in it, and Blake is in it, and actually does something useful, and then Gira messes it up, and just stands there. Yeah, I don't know. It's such a weird episode. Like, I just finished it earlier today, and just sat there and was like, did anything happen in that? Like, nothing. I guess we got a 2-sentence confirmation of stuff about the Haven attack, but beyond that, I'm not taking away very much from this episode.
No.
Yeah. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's annoying. It's really annoying, and I just. Mm-hmm. I think the most frustrating part is that they have the right mix of things to do stuff right. And I think the most impressive example of that is that they have Emerald on the team with Cinder. And I think that they should understand at this point that people are watching the show to see young women do some cool stuff and be the focus. And they have Emerald there, and she could have been a focus. She could have been a through line into this plot with Cinder, but instead we've just ignored her. Like, imagine this scene if Emerald was our like connection to this Bandit Camp talk instead of Raven.
Yeah,
because we don't care about Raven.
I think that's a lack of recognition of what characters are interesting. To be fair, that scene is between Cinder and Raven, 2 women. So,
but I mean, like,
yeah.
It's just they're not interesting,
right?
No,
they're just misidentifying what characters. Like Raven's a bad character,
and the show, like I said, the main appeal of the show is like, oh, it's awesome. You get to see all these female characters and they fight, and it's great. But then we get a scene that really should be a fight scene, and we get a little storm and talking, which is just not impactful. I don't know what it seems like, especially this season. They're having trouble with gauging what is actually an impactful thing. Like we had this happen with the whole I can turn into a bird, magic is real drama. It's like, okay, no one actually thinks this is impressive. And same thing here where Vernal's like, oh, like here's some wind, but like they don't seem to be able to do really hard-hitting, interesting, impactful things. Like it's all pretty mundane, which is unfortunate because they have, like you were saying, Andy, they have all these great elements and like there's so much potential. And I was so excited for this episode, and then we just got this instead.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, also not to mention, Vernal's blowing wind. I don't think it was mentioned, but that didn't look much more than just a semblance, to be honest. Her just makes the wind.
Yeah. Well,
I wasn't even clear if she was like wind. Was it a storm? Like
it was a bit of both. And then Corsic and Finnick, though, their wands were elements. So
they weren't even like wand guns. They're literally just wands.
Yeah. Are they harnessing?
I think that could have been cool.
A relic?
There's like 10 seconds where that was cool.
I'm not saying they're not cool, Dylan. I'm saying that they're just magic.
I wish they like actually took some steps. They were just like standing in one place on opposite sides of a little room.
But I mean, I think that's fine. You can have villains like that attack things like that. Like I think we had a fight like that in Voltron that was really cool, where like Hagar just essentially stood around and was attacked. Like that was, and they make that really cool. It's just this is.
They actually gave time to that scene, which is what makes it effective.
5 episodes of RWBY left this season.
Is it 5?
That's a decent amount.
5, I thought it was 10, 11.
10, 11, 12, 13, 14, right?
Oh, there's 14? I thought there was only 13.
Yeah. So we will have 3 more this year, or 2 more this year. Next week, and then the 30th or something. And then only 3 in January, and then we'll be done. So
wow.
Yeah.
Even with episodes like this, I feel like so far at least this season has been quite good. Just because of the teams back.
I don't know if I'd say quite good.
Well,
but better than 4. Yeah.
I think that's the thing. In comparison to what we've had in the last couple of years, it's definitely an improvement. And we've actually had some really interesting episodes and scenes.
After last week, I was going to say better than 3.
Now
this
and
week,
then
I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, not anymore. So.
My comments from last week about being blindly hoping and blindly optimistic about Rooster Teeth are really not standing up.
No.
Yeah, it's just I think this season's proven it can be really good with the RWBY character interactions. I'm optimistic that when they're back on screen, we will be doing better stuff. So
I'm starting to legitimately worry that Blake's not going to get back this season. Like I wasn't worried about that.
She'll come back in the finale. I'm revising my prediction that it'll be like a dramatic moment in the last 2 episodes.
Yeah.
I hope.
Which means
Bumblebee reunion not until next season. Yeah. Or maybe in the finale. I don't know. They will probably won't have time to hug. But we'll see.
Please,
they need time to hug.
Time to hug.
Dramatic, angry, tearful hug.
I need Whites to hug every member of Team RWBY. That's the purpose of this season, Dylan.
Yeah, it is. That's true.
I feel like either because next episode is going to be an episode, and then we have a break, and then an episode. So I think next episode, either
you're reading too much into it. They're not placing the break based on.
No, I know, but maybe they knew in advance. We'll see. But
they knew in advance. They just didn't care.
Yeah, exactly. But maybe they did. But I think that either Blake is going to end up with the rest of the team either next episode or the finale. Because I think it's been drawing it out too long now where they just gotta either bite the bullet and do it now or just wait and have it be a big dramatic thing at the end.
Right.
You know?
I think we're past the point, but it is still possible.
But I don't even know, because maybe next episode we have no menagerie fight.
Like, right. You could just ignore
Oh my
Menagerie next
God.
episode, or they could just do all Menagerie and have Blake back. Like, that's been on the table so long, and they just haven't done it. So we'll see. Next week, we'll be back to talk about Chapter 10. Let us know your thoughts on the episode. Please tell us what we're missing. I'm genuinely curious in the comments, YouTube comments or website comments at overlyanimated.com. And subscribe to us, as mentioned, to not miss our future RWBY podcasts on YouTube or on iTunes. Search for Overly Animated RWBY. Join us to talk about the episodes on Discord. Text chat with us at overlyanimated.com/Discord, and consider supporting us via Patreon, patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thank you very much to all of our current patrons, especially our patrons of the podcast, Eric, and thanks as always to our patron executive producers, John, Ryan, Steve, Alex, Andy, and Hugh. Yep, back with more RWBY. We also got Mysticons coverage, Ladybug coverage. There was some DuckTales podcasts. So check all that out at overlyanimated.com. And yep, that's all. That's it for this RWBY. Nothing more to say. So we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.